right, so we're going to start off with a ratio problem. It says that there were 120 students on a field trip to Orlando. Hey, that was me yesterday. The ratio of boys to girls was 2-to-1. How many boys were on the trip? So when you are looking at ratios, you have to kind of treat them, or personally, I would say that the best way to treat them is kind of like as fractions. There's a couple of different ways in which a ratio can be written to you. A ratio can be expressed like this with a semicolon in the middle. They can literally use the word 2-to-1, or they will write it as a fraction. All those three are representations of ratios. The way I think of it is ratio is just a fancy word for fraction. So since we're going to work with fractions, since we're going to work with ratios, your best strategy of taking care of this problem is using a proportion. Now, when you're working a proportion, remember that you want to have your categories match. So for example, here, they're giving me a total amount. So I have a total number, and that's 120 students, right? And I'm looking for, the question is asking for how many boys. So I'm going to have a second category, which is going to be boys. Now, this 120 represents the real total number of students on the bus. So here I'm looking for what is the real total number of boys on the bus. So that's going to be my first fraction. My second fraction is going to be given by the ratio. Now, you're not going to put 2/1. No. This ratio is telling you 2 boys, 1 girl. Now, you need a second total because the category up here is total. So where are you going to get your second total from? From your ratio. If you add 2 plus 1, that's going to give you a total of 3 children. So that 3 is going to go here, again, because this is considered a total. And down here, we're looking at boys. Well, if 3 is a total from the ratio, then the number that goes under is going to be the number of boys from the ratio, which was 2. So now you have formed your proportion. To solve a proportion.
Wait, where did you get a 3/2 from?
Okay, the 3. Okay, so again, the category that we have up here. So up here, we're going to have a bunch of total numbers. This is the total number of like real kids. This is going to be the total from the ratio. In order to get the total from the ratio, you're going to have to add the 2 boys plus the 1 girl gives you a total of 3 children. So that 3 is going to go here because this is the category of total. Now down here, you have the category of boys. You have no idea how many boys are really on the bus, but you know that from the ratio, there are 2 boys. So that 2 has to go here because this is boys, this is ratio. So the category has to be there. So in order to solve a proportion, all you need to do is cross multiply and divide. You're going to cross multiply, and whatever answer you get, you're going to divide. So the real number of boys on the bus is going to equal to 120 times 2, and then that result will be divided by 3. 120 times 2 is going to equal to 240, and that is going to be divided by 3. 240 divided by 3, that's going to be 80. So on the bus, there is a total of 80 boys. So your final answer is 80. All right? Questions?
How you know it was 240 that fast?
How did I know what?
How you know it was 240
240.
that fast?
Oh, okay. So whenever you multiply a number, like you know the rule of multiplying by 10, you just multiply the first number and then add the 0. It's kind of the same thing here. So 120 times 2, I kind of just multiplied 12 times 2, which gives me 24, and then I added the 0 at the end.
Okay, thanks.
Same thing how 240 divided by 3, I knew it was going to be 80 because again, I divided this, which I know is 8, and then I just added the 0.
Do you have another problem like this?
Yes, I do.
Okay, sound good.
Right here. All right, so the ratio of boys to girls in a classroom is 8 to 10. So again, a different representation. In the previous problem, they would have written it like this, right? If there are a total of 24 boys in the classroom, then how many boys and girls are there all together? So in total, right? Okay, so whenever you're giving a ratio like this, the order of the words match the order of the numbers. What do I mean by that? If boys is the first category, then the first number is the boys. If girls is the second, then girls is the second number, okay? So there is a total of 24 boys, and we're looking for how many boys and girls all together. So again, we're gonna have two categories. We're gonna have the category of the number of boys, and we're gonna have the category of all together. Oh my God, that is not how you spell together. All together, right? So those are your categories. Now, you're also gonna have two more categories. You're gonna have the categories of like in the classroom, and you're gonna have just from the ratio. So the question is, how many boys in the classroom? There are 24 boys in the classroom. So we're gonna put 24 right here. Next, how many altogether in the classroom? We have no idea. That's our goal. That's what we're looking for. Next, how many boys in the ratio? I go to my ratio. How many boys? 8. And lastly, how many altogether from the ratio? Well, I don't have that, but it's very easy to find. I take the ratio. 8 boys plus the 1 girl gives me a total of 9 altogether. So that means I have 9 altogether from the ratio. Is everybody okay with me so far? Any questions?
I thought it would be 11 girls.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. I only saw the one. Sorry. It's 11. I'm just blind. I'm sorry. It's 11. So it's 9. I'm so sorry. So that's going to be 19. I literally saw 1. So I thought it was 1. Okay, so it's 19. There you go. Okay. So all you have to do again is cross multiply and divide. So all together, we're going to have 24 times 19, and that result would be divided by 8. So we're going to have 24 times 19. 4 times 9 is 36. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 3 will be 21. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. 6, 5, 4. So it's going to be 456 divided by 8. Okay, and one of you had asked me about how to do long division. So this is a good example of how to do long division. So when you're doing long division, or when you have a fraction like this and you have to find the result, you always divide the top number by the bottom number. Always. It doesn't matter who's bigger, who's smaller. Always the top number by the bottom number. So we're going to take 456 and we're going to divide that by 8. 8 doesn't fit in 4. So 8 does fit in 45. How many times? Well, the closest one would be 8 times 5, which is 40. So I'm going to put a 5 here. 8 times 5 is going to be 40. We subtract and we get 5, and that's going to be 0. And we bring down the next number. How many times does 8 fit in 56? Well, that's going to fit in there 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. So we get our remainder of 0. So this is our final answer. So in total, all together, there are 57 boys and girls. So the answer is this one. Okay. Questions? Anything, any part of it that confused you or that you feel a little bit lost that you want me to go back to?